Tonight's sleepy adventure is part of the seasonal Symphony collection. This magical musical story will carry you into the gentle awakening of spring, guided by the graceful music of Vivaldi's Violin Concerto. You will wander through the quiet streets of old Venice, step into a historic music hall where melodies are just beginning to stir, and hear the sounds of spring slowly unfold through the strings of a single violin as the maestro creates his masterpiece. Find a comfortable place to settle in and allow yourself to be carried along by the soft rise and fall of the music as the story gently unfolds. With each note and each quiet moment, you may find yourself drifting deeper and deeper into calm, restful sleep, while the lingering harmony of spring settles softly around you. Welcome to the Whispering Willow. I am Diana, and I will be your guide. This sleep journey will begin with a guided meditation, followed by a story, and then ambient music to help you sleep through the night. Tonight, you can feel relaxed and safe. I am here to remind you that this is your time. You deserve this respite because you made it through another day. There is nothing you need to do. Simply burrow down into your bed and close your eyes, allowing my voice to guide you through this musical spring sleep story. Relax and take a slow, deep breath, letting the air fill your lungs completely, and then exhaling any tension, any tightness, any thought that doesn't serve your needs in this moment with a long, audible exhale. Do this 3 more times, allowing this focused breathing to free your mind from the distractions of the past or the future, grounding you firmly in this moment. Then, allow your breathing to settle into a natural rhythm, focusing your breath and leaving everything else at the side of your bed. Concerns about today or thoughts about tomorrow. They will be there when you wake. This time is for relaxation and magical exploration. With each steady breath, feel your body becoming softer, heavier in the most comfortable way, sinking gently into your bed, feeling the security of what's beneath you supporting you, allowing you to safely drift into peace and tranquility. In front of you, you notice a soft, shimmering light begin to glow, gently at first, then gradually getting brighter. You step toward it, and as you do, the world around you seems to ripple, and suddenly you are no longer in your room, but in the city of Venice in the early 18th century during the early morning hours, long before the crowds arrive and the streets grow busy. At this hour, the city feels almost suspended between night and day. The sky is just beginning to soften, from deep blue into pale gold. A few wispy cirrus clouds are gliding in on the atmospheric breeze. The narrow streets are quiet, and the canals move slowly beneath the gentle light of dawn. Small boats rock lazily against their moorings, their soft reflections drifting across the water. As you walk along the narrow stone pathway beside the canal, the air carries the faint scent of the sea mingled with the warmth of old wood and distant gardens just beginning to bloom. Your footsteps are unhurried. There is nowhere you need to go except forward, deeper into this quiet morning. Ahead of you, along the wide waterfront promenade of the Riva degli Schiavoni, stands a dignified building facing the open lagoon where ships from across the Mediterranean once arrived. It is the Ospedale della Pietà, the famous Venetian music house. The complex boasts a series of tall windows that allow light and air into the orphanage and music rooms inside. The windows catch the first rays of sunlight, and the building's facade reflects the restrained elegance typical of Venetian institutions. Smooth stucco walls, washed in warm ivory tones, framed by pale Istrian stone trim that catches the shifting lagoon light throughout the day. From the water, the building looks both serene and purposeful. Its pale facade reflects in the green lagoon, gondolas, and trading ships gliding past. Though modest compared with Venice's great palaces, the Pietà carries an unmistakable sense of quiet devotion and discipline. A place where orphaned girls are raised, educated, and trained in music that eventually echoes through the church and out over the water. At one end of the complex stands the Church of Santa Maria della Pietà, whose more ornate Baroque facade contrasts with the simplicity of the surrounding buildings. Columns, sculpted pediments, and carved details rise above the entrance, giving the impression of quiet importance. Between the windows are narrow stone pilasters that give the long structure a steady rhythm, almost like musical measures repeating along the waterfront. The windows themselves are tall and arched, many protected by delicate iron grills, and behind them, the famous girls of the Pietà practice music unseen by the public. The church doors open directly toward the waterfront, so visitors approaching from the lagoon will see the curved facade rising above the busy quay. You step quietly inside. The building is peaceful at this early hour. Long wooden corridors lead to rehearsal rooms where music echoes. Sunlight begins to filter through tall windows, illuminating polished wooden floors and rows of empty chairs. Music stands wait patiently where musicians will soon gather. For now, the hall rests in perfect stillness, and dust motes drift lazily through the beams of morning light. In the quiet center of the room sits a single violin resting upon a table. Moments later, soft footsteps echo gently down the corridor, and someone enters. You recognize it as Antonio Vivaldi, known as the Red Priest for the copper color of his hair. He carries himself with quiet purpose, his movements calm and thoughtful as he crosses the room. He places a small stack of handwritten pages upon the table that reflect the first in a collection of violin concertos he has been working on, each representing a season and reflecting scenes from nature and rural life. He has titled his collection The Four Seasons. The piece he is currently working on is Spring, and in it, Vivaldi depicts birds singing in the opening passages, followed by flowing streams and gentle breezes. A sudden spring thunderstorm, a shepherd resting while his dog keeps watch, and finally, rustic dancing to celebrate the new season. His plan is to attach a sonnet to each concerto, explaining its imagery. Today, he is working on the second movement, a pastoral scene. The composer gently lifts his violin. For a moment, he simply holds the instrument, as though listening for the music that already exists within it. Then he raises the violin beneath his chin, placing his bow on the strings. A single note emerges, clear, bright, and delicate. It rises through the quiet air of the room. Then another note follows, and another. Soon the violin begins to sing with the joyful melody of spring. The music dances softly through the hall, as though the notes themselves are small birds taking flight across an open meadow. You can almost imagine the countryside beyond the city, green fields stretching toward distant hills, where the first warm breezes of the season move gently through the grass. Bird song seems to echo within the melody. Small streams sparkle as they weave quietly through the countryside. Soft breezes move through fresh leaves that shimmer in the sunlight. The notes swirl lightly through the air of the rehearsal hall, filling the quiet room with the joyful energy of a new season. Then, slowly, the melody begins to soften. The notes settle into something calmer now. The bow moves more gently across the strings. The music becomes quiet and peaceful, like a warm meadow resting beneath a soft blue sky. You imagine a shepherd lying peacefully in the shade of a great tree, listening to the soft rustling of the leaves in the afternoon breeze. The air is warm and still. Tall grasses sway gently in slow, easy rhythms. The violin continues its calm melody, each note drifting slowly through the hall and fading softly into the quiet space beyond. The music becomes slower, softer. Your breath begins to follow the same unhurried rhythm as you listen. In this peaceful moment, there is nothing to do, nowhere to go, only the gentle sound of the violin filling the room. The notes are clear and delicate, rising softly into the morning light that spills through the windows onto the wooden floor. For a moment, it feels as though the entire season of spring is held within the sound of that single instrument. Then you sense a change. The sound of the single violin playing alone in the quiet rehearsal hall has morphed into something fuller, richer. Somewhere deeper in the hall, another sound appears. Time and space begins to shift around you, and you are no longer in an empty rehearsal hall with the composer, but in a large performance hall. You begin to notice the quiet movement of musicians. Across the stage, chairs are filling quietly. Music stands are adjusted. Pages of handwritten music are opened with careful hands. The young musicians of the Pieta Orchestra have gathered. The composer's violin continues its melody, steady and bright. Then very softly, the first violins join. Their sound is light and shimmering, like sunlight touching the surface of water. Soon the violas follow, adding warmth beneath the melody. Cellos bring a tone that's deeper yet, and seems to settle gently through the room like the calm earth beneath a spring meadow. Finally, the entire ensemble breathes together as the music grows richer, fuller, and the violin rises above it all, leading the orchestra into the joyful sounds of spring. The room that was once quiet now carries the living sound of a full performance. Bird song dances through the violins. Flowing streams ripple through the strings. Soft breezes move gently through the music, like wind across fields of green grass. Yet even as the orchestra plays, the feeling remains calm and spacious. The music fills the hall the way warm sunlight fills a garden, bright, peaceful, and alive. You sit in the front row, completely mesmerized by the performance. You're dressed in formal attire, appropriate for the time period and for the spring season, in your favorite color. You feel comfortable and confident. You feel completely at ease. As you listen, you feel a sense of wonder at the talent of the young girls of the Pieta and the precision and beauty of the ensemble. The intimacy of the setting creates a feeling of bliss in your heart, a delicate balance between joy and peace. The experience leaves you feeling light, hopeful, and quietly exhilarated, as though your world has been washed clean by spring rain and filled again with the possibility of new life. As you watch, ribbons of music wrap around and embrace you completely. You close your eyes, and as the music swells, you feel soft, wind-like currents of sound wash over you, brushing across your skin and giving you goosebumps, as though the music itself is cradling you. You feel completely comfortable, secure, and protected in this place. Every breath you take draws in the music and promise of spring. Every exhale releases anything that does not belong: worry, tension, thoughts. They all float away, carried by invisible currents of sound, peaceful and serene. Then the music begins to slow. The bow glides more softly across the strings. Each note lingers just a little longer than the one before. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the music begins to dim, like the fading light of a long spring evening. One by one, the instruments begin to rest. First, the cellos allow their final notes to drift into the quiet air of the hall. Their deep tones fade gently away. Then the violas follow, their warm voices softening until the sound dissolves into stillness. The violins play their final phrases next, each note lingering briefly before disappearing, until at last only the solo violin remains. The instrument rests beneath the chin of Vivaldi, his delicate music the only remaining sound in the hall. The final melody rises softly, clear and light, like the last birdsong at dusk. One note drifts upward, then another. The bow moves gently across the strings, drawing out the final phrase of the music, as if the master wishes it not to end. And then the violin grows silent. The last note hangs in the air for a moment, glowing quietly in the stillness, and then it fades. Vivaldi lowers his instrument and rests it carefully upon the stand, and the rehearsal hall is still. Sunlight now fills the room completely, warming the polished wood of the floor and the quiet rows of chairs. The music has finished, but the calm it has created remains, feeling thick and tangible. The gentle spirit of spring lingers softly in the air, more real to you now. You sit quietly in the peaceful hall, feeling the stillness that follows the final note. Outside, the city continues to wake slowly. But here, in this quiet room where the music was played, everything feels calm and unhurried. Although the hall is quiet, the final notes of the music still rest within you, like a feeling rather than a sound. As they continue to fade, they soften into a quiet sense of warmth and ease, spreading slowly through your chest, your shoulders, your breath. You don't need to follow them anywhere. They simply remain with you, dispersing naturally as your body sinks down into rest. And you feel yourself moving deeper into comfort, deeper into your own body, but still feeling impossibly light. Every part of you is quiet and relaxed. Every breath is gentle, and you feel completely safe as you float downward towards sleep, perfectly calm, perfectly at peace. You take in a deep, soothing breath and feel your bed beneath you. Your formal clothes have been replaced by soft, cozy night clothes. You pull the covers around you and sink into the pillows and mattress as rest flows over you like the softest, most peaceful symphony, taking you deeper and deeper into sleep, floating you into dreams, carrying you down into perfect stillness, comfort, and peace. You hear the delicate echoes of spring as you allow the memories of your evening journey to finally deposit you into blissful sleep. Good night.